Hello everybody, John here, and today onto the garage we are taking off the overaxle pipes from Purdey, my XK8, and really excited to show you just how distorted they are, but it kind of assumes I can get them off. They've been on there 25 years, it's still original, let's see how easy it is. For those of you who have not been following along with the series on the exhaust saga, there are 3 previous episodes looking at why I've chosen to go for the Adamesh Stage 1 and Stage 2 performance system, removing the tail boxes. I fitted the Stage 1 system alone and done sound recordings and sound levels and bits and pieces to share with you guys. And today we're getting into taking the overaxle boxes off. So you might want to go back and look at the first couple of episodes if this is a theme you're looking at following or just want to start at the beginning of the story. But today, as I say, it's the overaxle boxes and pipes that are coming off. First little thing to share, and it's a real first world problem that I'm very pleased to have, is if you're going to be taking off these are the resonators before the axle, and the overaxle pipes, and you've already obviously got the tailpipes off, then you're going to be disconnecting from here, these brackets that go onto the big centre box. Now the big centre box is quite heavy. It's linked to 2 pipes, which in turn go to the catalytic converters, which are vertical on an XK8. And there is actually nothing holding up the system from this point that way until you get to the catalytic converters and the manifolds and all that sort of thing. So what I don't want to do is disconnect all this, which is hung from another rubber bracket above the axle, and put undue strain on the joints at the cats. Easy tip, just put an axle stand or a spare wheel or something underneath your centre box before you start messing around, so that it doesn't move very much and put an extra strain on everything. Because I'm using my scissor lift and I don't have a transmission jack, I've just put a piece of wood in across the car to a little bracket I've fashioned just to take the strain and keep that in the right sort of position. So just a bit of preventing extra work for later. Next thing we want to do is undo these 2 brackets. They are like the tailpipe brackets originals, which means that they're welded to the pipe. They're not separate items, and they've been on there, in my case, for 25 years. So I've been soaking the bolts in penetrant, and this morning I've come in and put a bit of WD-40 on them as well. So that it gives me a fighting chance of getting them off. I'm also lucky in that I've got a cordless impact driver, so I'm going to be using that to try and remove them right now. So I've got a 15mm long series socket. I'm using a 6-sided socket, which is good for improve my chances of not rounding things off. Go on the other one. I managed to loosen one of them. Probably a good idea to put some ear defenders on. This really rings with the sound of that impact driver. Whew. I'll give it a few more minutes, give it another rattle, and then I will try a 6-sided socket and a breaker bar, which may do exactly what it says on the tin and break it, which is not a problem, before finally surrendering. We have to cut that with a disc cutter. Okay, so this is a 2-foot breaker bar or extender bar. So it should give me a pretty much irresistible force in terms of removing this. Just checking I'm on all the way. It has gone. Before I heat that up some more and definitely break the bolt, gonna put the impact driver back on as a slightly gentler action, and we'll tighten it back up first. You can see the force that's needed to move that. I'm going to tighten it back up, and I'm going to turn the impact driver up to full and undo it again. Bit more lube, and then full bore reverse. Make sure I'm in reverse. Quite pleased with that. I had to cut both of the bands on the back box straps. They were not coming off, regardless of what I did. And then almost entirely to wind up my friend Gary Mees. Hiya! Here's the claw hammer, or woodworking tool as we would call it. I can use it to pry the clamps apart a little bit. There we go. So, clamps fully released. We're ready to take them off. Now, in fairness, ramp or no ramp, these are tricky to remove. They're not just going to slide off. And unlike the tailpipe, you can't really rotate them very much to help you slide them out. And if, like mine, they've been on there 25 years, they're probably going to be a little bit stuck in that joint. So important points to remember to help you is they are suspended above the axle on a rubber mount, and hopefully you can see that rubber mount. And what you need to do is to slide the back box towards the back of the car to unhook it. See if it's any easier to see, possibly on this side. So towards the back of the car, we'll unhook the exhaust from that mount. Many people, myself included, will end up chopping through the pipe, probably there just after the box, in order to wriggle these things out far more successfully. But we're going to try and take them out in one piece. And for me, that's probably going to start with getting hold of my dead blow hammer and giving these a pat on the front of the box so we can push them away from the centre box. Yay. I always think once you've got a little bit of movement, no matter how small, you know it's going to come off. So I really only want to take these off in one piece so we can have a look at it and share the design together. So I'm quite keen to press on and persevere. As we're starting to get this off, you start to recognise why that pipe's flat. One of the reasons is you can move the pipe forward far enough to get it out of that joint to go over the axle. And just before that box wants to come off, just want to show you up here. You see this is the overaxle pipe at the tail end of the car. You can see that this is striking this tie rod here. I say tie rod, it's part of the diff mounting system. But it's that tight, it's that close. So a little bit of wriggling to be done down that end to change the angle just a touch. Nearly there. Yay! Oh, literally just jammed in position now. Yay! There we go. So we're off. And it's still hung up on the bracket. So the next challenge is actually just to get that through the rubber. And you see it when I move it, it's all attached. You've got to go away from us, but it gets very tight very quickly because you're hitting the rear subframe. So more wriggling and a bashing to do. Hey, feels like I've unhooked it. Let's make sure. Where's the end gone? Yay! Oh, it fell on my head. Right. The last part of the challenge here is now just to manoeuvre this over the axle and down this side. Oh, it all sounds so easy. It's just lots of wriggling and cussing. And again, this is where the ramp makes things a little easier because you've got more height, but I'm not going to pretend it just slots out. Go, and you can see the angle I'm coming around here, guys. If you haven't got this much height, then you're going to have to chop it through to get this out, just because of the length. Hey, that's one. Now, one more to go, and I won't subject you to the detail. It's time for some fast forward action, I think. Yeah. Woohoo! It's a lot easier to do a stage 1 than a stage 2. Oh, look at all that space. I've got the inspection camera down through this silencer as well, and I'm only going to get one pass at this because it's been such a pain to get through. But I just wanted to prove to you that it is completely straight through. There's the end of the camera. So what I'm going to do is pull the camera back through slowly, and you can see what's inside here, and we'll be watching the image that's being recorded on my mobile phone. I just, whoops, wave again. Hello. That's me waving out the end of the exhaust. Are you interested in such things? That is actually correctly aligned, as in viewed from above, and that is a right hand rear exhaust system, and these brackets are welded on as a sort of metal strap. For those who are interested in dimensions, this pipe goes down to 30 to 33 mil, and a width of 72. Sorry for the bad camera work there. Also, you've got non-mandrel bent joints, curves, sorry. So here we're going from 52 down to 46. Well, there we go. That's, I think, a nice view of the two systems in the same orientation as they go on the car. This one probably looks a little bit long. That's because the exhaust tip can be slid quite a long way down here, but in every other regard you can see that the contact points are gonna fit. They're all going to go into the same places. So we start at the tail end. We have the P shooter, which is the small exit that is standard on all of the X100s. XK8s have singles, XKRs can have doubles on some years, and I'll just give you an indication that the standard exhaust outlet is 80 across, these are in millimeters, by 60 tall. When we switch over to the Adamesh stage 1 or tail end, we're at 125, probably close to 13, and 85 in that plane. The standard exhaust system is made of 55, 56 mil pipe. The whole of the Adamesh system is on a nominal 60. So similar, slightly larger bore, but the big difference is in how straight it runs. So stage 1 on the original has got a couple of kinks in it, a curved resonating tube, perforated tube coming through here, kink in it here, here and stop. The Adamesh system is obviously almost entirely straight, has no silencing whatsoever, and is also mandrel bent, so whenever we got a curve, the Jaguar system reduces in size. This does not. We then go on to stage 2, which is the axle is running through here, and in this orientation the wheel would be close to you guys. And on the original, the system goes up diagonally towards the centre of the car and over the drive shafts, and has this kinked and reduced section just here, which is because of non-mandrel bending. Then both systems run over the prop shafts in full form, and it's here where we get this savage restriction, which really does look like damage. If you've not seen these on the car before, or you've not seen me take it off, you would assume that this is damage from removal, where the pipework is brought down massively, added to which is a couple of really quite nasty kinks and a dent in this surface, and then a flare out to the pipework in here where there's a welded join. Then you've got another curved resonating tube that then hits this exit pipe. The Adamesh system, obviously completely consistent throughout, much smoother transitions, no flattened section here, is flared out to go over this tube, so you get no reduction in bore size. And whereas this pipe, this looks different, the angles look all different, because on this box we approach it straight on, go through at an angle effectively before we join into this. This has all been blurred together in this pipe to take the shortest possible route. So all in all, really, really nice. Another question that comes up is, can you fit the existing standard tailpipes to the Adamesh stage 2? The simple answer is yes. Now here's where I think it gets a little bit more problematical. So yes, this will go in. I would have to work it a little bit. I'm not going to mess with it too much because I don't want to rough up the end of my pipe. But this is quite a long entrance. This is got a curve on it. It might not push together quite as well or as far as this pipe's intended, but it definitely will go together. My instinct is a lot of people will be having these systems fitted by a garage, by an exhaust fitter, and they're probably not going to take anything like the same care as I did removing these things. So straight in with the angle grinder would be the order of the day, and in doing so you might actually receive damage to these tailpipes to the extent that they can't easily be put back on, or they're going to be re-welded. So my instinct would be, if you want to retain rear silencers and you want to put these on, I would suggest get some new silencers or have a system made up. But yes, it is doable. You can use this as a Meccano set and you can build whatever you want. Just going to do a weigh-in on the overaxle section. 8 kilos, or 8 kilograms I should say. And this comes in at 5 kilograms. So another 3 kilogram saving. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little episode. I'm going to go clean up for a little bit and go take on a sandwich. That's how you remove the overaxle boxes from your Jaguar XK8 or XKR. And you've seen why it's a pretty good idea if you want a little bit of extra performance or a bit better growl to remove those very restrictive pipes. The resonators or silencers themselves are not actually very restrictive. So it's the combo of pipes, angles and bends that gives you that extra potential in terms of a little bit more horsepower, a bit better breathing, a bit better economy, a bit quicker pickup, all those sorts of good things. I'll leave you with that little image to ponder should you change your overaxle pipes. See you soon, guys.